My wife has been cheating on me for 12 years, what should I do? Story 1. Wife and I have been together for 34 years and married for 32 years. I'm now 51 and she is 53. We had kids young, I was 18 and we married when I was 19. We had our share of ups and downs through the years, but I always felt our love for each was strong. In 2009, just 2 months short of our 20th wedding anniversary, I caught my wife about 6 weeks before I found out about the affair. I was going through a very difficult bout of depression during the months of her affair. I have suffered from depression for most of my life, and when I was 42 I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I grew suspicious and I began looking for clues. At one point I checked her phone log and noticed how often she was talking to her sister. It seemed pretty extreme. I also noticed her sister's name with a different number associated with it. When I asked her about it, she claimed it was her sister's business number, which was possible in her line of work, but she got very defensive when I asked about it. I continued to look for clues for weeks until one day I finally caught her. I came home from work one night and while my wife was sleeping I checked her phone messages and found that her lover left her a detailed message. My heart was broken. I woke her up to confront her and she admitted that she had only talked to another man and it wasn't sexual. At that point I was absolutely devastated. I was completely out of it, dazed and confused. I wanted to believe her when she said it wasn't sexual, but I didn't. I have to be honest, I have never felt so hurt and betrayed in all my life. The trust I had with my wife was now gone. My life was rocked for well over a year. I'm surprised I didn't lose my job because I was completely out of it and it was all I could think about. Over the course of that time frame I asked her over and over if the affair was sexual. She swore it wasn't. I had my doubts, but I started to believe her. After a year I finally started to move on with my life. It wasn't pain-free, but I was functioning again. Since the beginning when I first found out and for the last decade, I have asked her repeatedly whether the affair was sexual and she stood by her story. It helped me to hear her say it wasn't, even though I was not 100% convinced. Well, a week after our 30th anniversary I asked her once again and she finally admitted there was one time event where it was sexual. Everything happened except intercourse. This was incredibly upsetting to hear. It would have been better if everything had come out at the same time, but 12 years of being lied to has really affected me. Up until this point my wife was the most trusted person in my life. Now the trust in my marriage feels shattered. Since she admitted the sexual nature of the affair in 2021, there is not one day that goes by that I don't think about this. It really hurts, more so than when I found out at age 16 my dad was not my real father. I never thought the pain I went through with that could ever be matched. My wife's affair was far worse. I love my wife dearly and hope the trust can be restored and in time our relationship will heal. I just don't know how. I don't really know how to cope with that. My ex, W18 and I, M22, were together for a year. We actually knew each other forever as she lives just 3 houses away and my family has always been friends. She has another 3 siblings and the one brother is one of my best friends. At some point I took her jogging for fun and that's when it all started. We were happy and of course we had some fights, but we got over it. What always bothered me was that in the second half of the year, in addition to school, she had put more and more time into a volunteer position with the German Red Cross. I couldn't plan vacations with her, invite her to dinner, go to the amusement park, and so on. Of course, I knew that she was not so good at planning and I often accepted it. Nevertheless, I spent a lot of free time with her. I often sat in her room while she did her homework, worked, listened to music, or read a book. In general, this also helped her motivation to work, as she always told me. In our last 2 weeks she had to take 2 exams at the DRK. To prepare for them, she had attended courses on Saturdays and Sundays for at least 8 weeks beforehand. In the last 2 weeks, there were also trainings during the week. I was able to cope with that too because it was a very stressful situation for her. I hoped that we would find more time for each other after the exams and my bachelor's thesis. But it still bothered me that on the weekends after the exams, she preferred to do something with her colleagues from the German Red Cross and had not even considered taking me with her. I'm a person who actually finds people to talk to in almost all societies no matter what age, and so I don't get bored. She knew that too. In addition, she told me a few weeks ago that there is a colleague M20 at the DRK who has serious feelings for her. I did not think much of it. But in general, she has always told me that the colleagues there do not like me, because we had sometimes arguments about this time-intensive hobby that she told them. In any case, we went running together in our last week and she asked me after a short time if it was okay for me if she regularly would go jogging with a colleague from German Red Cross. I did not think that was okay and I let her know. At least that's how we got to know each other. In addition, there was only little time in the near past to pursue this activity together. It seemed to me that she understood me. A few days later on a Thursday, we were both donating blood at a fundraiser she organized. After that, I visited her again at home in the evening. I was very proud of her work after all and also told her so. She was on the phone with this colleague. I said hello to both of them and only got an answer from her. A few minutes later I asked him where he works, but was only yelled at by my ex. My ex yelled at me, "I told you that." She then told me just the state he works in. After the phone call I made my concerns clear to her. The boy likes her, wants to spend more time with her, doesn't like me. She said afterwards that she would never cheat on me and that I should not be interested in the whole thing. It was similar 2 weeks earlier when I picked her up at the German Red Cross. There, both were installing an internet line for a new office room and I was still waiting for her. As an experienced technician, I wanted to give good advice and offer help. He didn't talk to him then either. Later, she told me that he would have preferred to kick me out of the building. The following weekend on Saturday the last exam was due. Friday we both did not have much time and were still tired from the blood donation the day before. At noon, I had heard from her brother that she was at home and so I just went to her, looked how she was doing. I didn't have much time because of another appointment that day. In the evening, I talked to her again on the phone and she wanted me to come to her. However, I was tired and wanted to sleep in my big bed at home. She did not understand and called me several times. She reproached me for not taking care of her and then hung up. I have written to her that I do care about her and was disappointed that she hangs up on me like this. Later, after another phone call from her, I finally bowed, went over to her and wished her good luck for the exam. After all, she was also tired and I went back home. From then on the whole bullshit started. Saturday at noon I wrote her and asked how the exam went. She was online but hadn't read it. A few hours later she removed her profile picture where we were seen together. I called her and was accused of not contacting her that day. She announced to tell me on Sunday what I had done wrong the last 2 weeks. I was absolutely shocked. On the day of the breakup she told me that she had archived a chat to hide the message from Friday evening in which I wrote that I cared for her. I waited for Sunday evening but she did not contact me. I wrote to her in another messenger on she finally reversed the archived chat. Nothing else came from her. I asked several times what was going on, Butch did not answer. Couple minutes later she wrote me that she is going to sleep now. Nothing else. I was really pissed off. It was 2000 hours after all. Since I live in the neighborhood I went over to her. She was indeed asleep, but I woke her up because I thought the conversation was very important. I cared a lot about the relationship at that point. However, she did not want to talk and told me several times that I should leave. When I left, she called after me to stay. I could not do that, because otherwise I would have yelled at her more. Otherwise I'm not a person who gets abusive like that. So I was a bit disappointed in myself. The next day, Monday, she didn't want to talk either. On Tuesday she came to me with all my things. I was completely shocked because I had expected a conversation and no separation had expected. She told me when we broke up that she had archived the chat because of the message on Friday. She said I had not wished her good luck. I did not understand that because we had even talked afterwards and so I had wished her good luck. She admitted to have forgotten that I was still with her afterwards. She did not want to accept it as a misunderstanding. In any case, she would have wanted a break for the relationship after Saturday. However, on Sunday I broke her trust by coming to her, waking her up and getting loud. I can understand that in part, but after all that happened, a conversation was simply necessary. It couldn't be put off. She has put off too many conversations for the past week. She still said that she would have acted exactly the same way on that Sunday. Of course I cried in front of her, but unfortunately no emotions came from her. Allegedly because of the breach of trust. Now 2 weeks later we exchanged a few things and then she confirmed what I had already suspected. I was exchanged for the colleague from the German Red Cross. She has been dating him for quite some time. The additional exercises before the exam were really excuses to see him. Sexually there was nothing going on and I believe her, but nevertheless it completely destroys me. After all, I loved her until the end. The last 4 to 6 weeks she supposedly didn't feel comfortable with me anymore. The accusations on the day of the separation were hard, but in the end everything was pulled out of thin air. She wanted the separation. Indirectly or directly she did everything for it. I had too much perseverance, which is why she had separated. Now I think different about all of this. I still so not sleep well at nights. I should have quit way before this weekend. The problem now is that I really love her familia, her siblings and the pets they have. Her family is pretty much on my side. In the long run, I can't distance myself from the family. With both brothers I had and have DIY projects and anyway I see the family every day. Until now she did not talk with them about her reasons for the breakup. This was my first relationship and I certainly made mistakes. I never felt love like this before. My girlfriend left me because another boy from a new hobby entered her life. She told me only shortly before the end of the relationship, but did not want to go further. She has also did not spoken to her own parents and siblings about the breakup. I have been suffering from insomnia for 2 weeks and therefore find it difficult to concentrate on my work. My girlfriend, 24F, cheated on me, 25M, after 9 years. First I want to apologize for a long post, and thank you for sticking out. I really need some help/advice now. I, 25M, Have been together with my GF, 24F, since high school, had really great times together. We started casually, high school relationships, but it becomes very serious. After high school, I moved to another city for college, and we managed to handle those times when we were apart most of the time, but we often visited each other. She joined 2 years after, but we didn't live together at first. But after 2 years we started our cohabitation. So as a person, I grew up with her since my age of 17 and her 16 and built myself together with her. Last couple of months we had some hard times in our relationship and made some break last summer for a bit more than a week. We both decided that the break will be fresh for us and to think about all of the things. Besides the problems in the relationship, monotony, lack of new things and passion, the point of this break was for her to find out in her head what she wants with her life, involving me or not. Why I am mentioning that is because for a year and maybe more, she is not satisfied with herself, with her everyday life, and she doesn't have the motivation to do anything, to try some new things, to be happy with her life and then happy myself and our relationship. After the break, everything was awesome for some period, and then again, same as before the break. I know that it's not just a problem with her, I'm from time to time a pretty hard person, and maybe I didn't show enough love. I quoted showed because I obviously love her more than anything. That's also related to her motivation because I am constantly growing in life, mostly talking about a career, and she didn't move from the same spot for some time, almost 2 years. So we both saw that something needs to be changed. She even told me once that she cannot make some move because I am so successful and she is not. I wanted to help her to find herself. I am not talking here about earnings, I am earning enough for both. But for her to find something that will fill out her day, and this can be anything: hobby, work, gym, anything besides watching TV and scrolling phone. After this short break, things were better, but not because something crucial changes, but that we both missed each other and things were better at the first time, but after some period everything was back to old. A couple of days before I heard the story about cheating from my best friend. He heard rumors a month ago and he wasn't sure, so he didn't tell me until now. Also, it was super hard for him to tell me, and he saw how was she acting in front of me after cheating. When I was talking to her later, she admitted to everything but left out some details. Long story short, there was one guy that she started to meet/date. They meet a couple of times, walks, coffees, and chatted on a daily basis. They didn't sleep, at least that's what she told me, but they became very intimate. The last time they met, they planned to sleep. Still not sure if I can trust that it actually didn't happen, but at that point, she couldn't handle it anymore and realized what she was doing, and since then they cut all contacts. She told me that she was planning to tell me everything and that she was dying inside because of what she did to me and to us, basically for nothing. Also, that was just because she liked that some other guy was into her and didn't know why she did that, and she really repented. Now I am pretty fucked up, never felt like this in my entire life, my whole world collapsed. I lost my partner and best friend and cannot admit that. The worst is that I had someone to talk to for so long and now she is not there. After that, she came to pick up some stuff, and on one side I felt like I am talking to a person that I trust the most, and the other side, my biggest enemy. Honestly, I expected that cheating will happen to me rather than to her, so that's how much I trusted her. Currently, I am not even sure what to think anymore, and I really want something from us. I was imagining her as my fiancé, but I don't want just to move over without changing anything. She also wants the same, and I see that she regret that, but to move on and forgot about that is not easy at all. I'm a bit afraid for her and want to help her with the problems that I told you above, to find herself, to have the motivation, to be satisfied with her life, because I think if we both learn something from this we will become better persons and better for each other, and I have a feeling that we can do this together. Now, she moved to her parents' town, and I am alone at our old place, and it's super hard spending time here without her. I plan to call her to come over for a day or two, just to discuss the whole thing and how can we get over it together. Not sure if this is the right thing because in the end she betrayed me, and my gut feeling is not great, but I don't see another way. I would also appreciate hearing your opinion on this. TL, Doctor, I need an opinion on how to move on after being betrayed, and what initiative can I take to make this easier for both of us. I would like to make things great again, and I personally think that this is possible but super hard. Thank you for reading the whole thing, Praying Jester. Any advice will be helpful, but maybe the biggest question is how to help her to find herself, because I think that this is the root of our issues. And if we manage to achieve that our relationship can is the root of our issues. And if we manage to achieve that our relationship can be better than ever.